Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is Caroline Heward and I'm the Harley Street Stress Expert. Today's show is Talking Heads and I'm an expert presenter in today's topic, which is there a link between stress and type 2 diabetes? And it's part of the Mind and Body Connection series. Let's begin. I thought to begin with it would be helpful to use a NHS definition. There were lots of conversation and pieces that talked about what diabetes was, and I felt that this one was a very simple definition from the NHS. And in looking at type 2 diabetes, I thought it was helpful to compare it with type 1 in this definition. So type 1 diabetes, a lifelong condition where the body's immune system attacks and destroys the cells that produce insulin. So type 2 is what we're looking at today, and the NHS defines this as where the body does not produce enough insulin of the body's, or the body's cells do not react to insulin properly. And it's this aspect that we're going to be looking at today, where the body's cells do not react to the insulin properly. So I'd love this quote by Tom Hanks, and he says of stress and type 2 diabetes, "When I work a lot of times, I have to lose weight, and I do that, but in my regular life, I was not eating right and I was not getting enough exercise. But by the nature of my diet and that lifestyle, boom, the end result was high blood sugars that reach the levels where it becomes type 2 diabetes. I share that with a gazillion other people." Tom Hanks. This quote just said so much about somebody in awareness of his lifestyle and in awareness of what he's found that works, and in his different scenarios of work and his normal lifestyle, what changes for him. So type 2 diabetes, the insulin resistance. What happens is it's a cycle, as most things are, especially when we're looking at stress and other diseases within the body. So we eat bad carbs, and we're going to go into what bad carbs are a bit later on in this presentation. But we eat bad carbs, and I'm going to just give you a couple of examples: cakes, biscuits, chips, things that are biscuits, not healthy for us. And those bad carbs create insulin. And then the cells, they resist that insulin creation. And so the insulin then stores as sugar, which stores as fat. So the insulin becomes sugar, and then it creates and stores as fat. And when it stores as fat, then the body starts to feel tired and very hungry. Have you ever had a meal and felt very tired straight after it and fallen asleep? This is what the insulin reaction is doing. So the body is resisting the intake of the insulin and creates sugar, stores it as fat. Now, what also happens is, especially if we're not eating regularly and not eating properly in terms of well-balanced meals and in a regular time span, what happens is the body starts to think that it's been starved. And so it will hold on, even if you're not taking in lots of bad carbs, it will hold on to create what the body needs, because it stores it as fat so it can give you the energy that it needs later on, because it doesn't know when it's going to get fed next time. The stress hormone, cortisol. So when we're stressed and when we're feeling anxious, cortisol is known as the stress hormone, and it kicks in. And when cortisol kicks in, it turns it into the flight-fight mechanism that our body reacts and responds to. So everything becomes 100 times worse than what it really is when cortisol takes action. And it is the natural occurring stress hormone whenever things get on top of us. And we will feel it because we will feel that fight-flight experience when we're stressed. It could be that our car breaks down, or it could be that somebody says the wrong thing at the wrong time, or something doesn't work, or it could be a stress-related relationship or a situation that you're not able to solve because it's out of your hands, out of your control. But whatever it is that causes your stress, it's how we respond and react. And cortisol will raise blood sugar levels, and it will also raise blood pressure, which means that the whole body is in a fight-flight hormonal challenging imbalance, which will cause headaches for some, insomnia for others. It will cause a great deal of physical, emotional, and mental discomfort when the stress hormone starts to activate. Unless we know how to handle our stress, it's important to understand the role that cortisol plays when we are stressed, so that we can then handle it and start to manage how we track and how we react and respond to our stress. So here's some red flags about type 2 diabetes. And for some of us, we might not be aware that in the early stages of type 2 diabetes that we have it. So to be aware is very, very useful, because then we can stop the onslaught of a major type 2 diabetes. So do you find that when you're frequently urinating, this is one of the red flags of type 2 diabetes, that you're constantly wanting to pee, constantly wanting to go to the toilet. And this is also coupled with the fact that there is an excessive thirst, that you will feel constantly thirsting, and you will just reach out for any drink. And we're going to look at the types of drinks that will be detrimental to type 2 diabetes later on. That there will be a never-ending quench for thirst, that you just can't stop the body feeling that quench, so you will constantly want to drink. There will also be an excessive hunger, where even though you've eaten, you will still feel hungry and you will still want to eat. Even if you've had a big plate of food, there will be a feeling of still being hungry, so you will reach out. And this is where, if you've had a meal and you reach out for snacks, crisps, chocolate bars, that the system hasn't felt fulfilled, that it hasn't felt that pain of hunger depleted. For some, there will be an unexplained weight loss, and that will be unrelated to the fact that they're not on a diet, that they will lose weight despite the fact that they're not watching their weight. So this is what I mean by an unexplained weight loss. When people are losing weight, and it's because they're deliberately wishing to lose weight and putting in steps to lose that weight, this is where you will lose weight with an unexplainable situation of not doing anything different. There will be extreme tiredness where you will just literally conk out, yawn, fall asleep at the most inappropriate times. And it will feel uncomfortable for you and those around you, especially if you're in company. There will be a severe irritability where the slightest thing will set you off and make you feel uncomfortable and moving you over that threshold of stress that you're able to cope with, moving you into that fight flight of your stress. There will be a blurred vision, and it will just become immediate. It will just set upon you where suddenly things go blurry, and then just as suddenly as it happened and appeared, it can suddenly disappear. And there will be for many a slow healing, which means that the body will have the effect of not being able to heal cuts, bruises, sores easily, quickly. And that's because the blood isn't clotting. And so there will be a much more slowed down healing process for anyone that suffers with type 2 diabetes. So destructive coping mechanisms for stress. Many people reach out for the extra coffee or 2 or 3 or 4. They might reach out for the very strong coffee, or they might feel more comforted by having a lunch with a glass or a bottle of wine, or dinner with a glass or a bottle of wine. And these things, although immediately they will give you a feeling of relaxation, they also will give a higher risk to cortisol levels, because even though you think you're more relaxed, you will actually heighten the cortisol levels and be in a heightened state of fight flight. Other people, they might smoke, especially when they're working or in a stressful home situation. And if they're smoking, it does have this strange ability for the person that is smoking to feel more relaxed when they've smoked a cigarette. But it's actually the action of slowing down the breathing that changes their state of stress. And when you're smoking, you're actually breathing in and ingesting nicotine while you're smoking, which is going to create more fight, flight, and going to create more harm to you and not enable you to manage your stress. So what happens when you're using these types of substances, also recreational substances, have the same effect? You will feel a level of relaxation for a small amount of time, and then there is a huge escalation of the stress because it induces a higher level of cortisol. So is emotional eating linked to type 2 diabetes? Well, when we're stressed, many people, they will reach out for that Coca-Cola or the biscuits or crisps or the Smarters or sweets or something high carbohydrate like cakes, cookies. And this is known as emotional eating. It's not that there's anything wrong with having the odd cake or biscuit or two. It's more a case of how it's linked to when you're feeling stressed, that you're reaching out for that cookie, that chocolate bar, or that Coke. And when you are emotionally eating, you are raising the levels of your cortisol, because this might be a strategy that works in terms of working for you on the surface of it, that you have something nice to eat like a cake or a chocolate bar, a bag of crisps, and you feel better somehow. It's a short-lived cycle of feeling a release from the stress, but it actually heightens the cortisol, and so it makes it heighten the experience of the stress hormone, and it will affect your type 2 diabetes. So when you are emotionally eating, even though you will feel that level of internal experience of a release from the stress, it will actually cause it to heighten and make it worse. So let's look at some healthy eating for diabetes type 2. Drinks. If you drink drinks with no added sugar, the obvious simplest one is water. But, if you're drinking any drinks without any added sugar, and be careful when you're looking at drinks with no added sugar, because some of them, instead of having sugar, they actually have other alternatives. So no sugar will have aspartame, which will be causing you more damage than good. So if you're having low-calorie drinks, watch out and read the labels of what they've got there instead of. And it's much healthier to drink clear, like herbal teas, fruited teas, things like green tea, decaffeinated if you're going to drink coffee, drinking decaffeinated coffee. But drinking is good, just making sure there is no added sugar. Higher fiber carbs. What I mean by this is, instead of reaching out for the white rice and the white sugar and the white bread, reaching out for wholemeal, brown rice that hasn't had anything put in, sort of whole grain natural. Higher fiber as in looking at the calorie being fibrous. So lentils, beans, chickpeas will have a higher fiber. Fruit and vegetables will have higher fiber within them, which will be better for you than having refined sugars. And why is this going to be better for you? Because as soon as you start introducing refined foods, processed foods, and processed fats like lard, margarine, and other types of fats into the system, then that will retain in the body, and it will move you into a cortisol effect and heighten the type 2 diabetes effects. So for healthy eating for type 2 diabetes, to cut down or even obliterate red meats, they have a much higher level of fat that is unhealthy for you and not good for your type 2 diabetes. To stay away from any processed foods, and what I mean by processed is things like bacon, things like ham, all the meats that you find in the plastic covers in the supermarkets, any chorizos, things that are, pork-led, that are literally processed. Salt will have a higher retention for body fluids and will have a detrimental effect on type 2 diabetes. And salt will retain the fluids, giving you a bloated sensation, which will have a negative effect on the system. Alcohol. If you're going to take in more than your normal intake of what's deemed as normal in your country of alcohol, it will have an effect. Even drinking 1 glass of alcohol every day will have an effect, just as much as abstaining from alcohol all week and then having a binge session of drinking on the weekend is just as detrimental. And that's because alcohol is a high sugar content. And it's the sugar that turns to fat that will create an imbalance in the system and raise your cortisol levels and your fight-flight mechanism. Also looking at portion sizes. When we don't know about how much to eat or not eat, and we're just filling a plate, if you have large size plates and we fill the plate and we pile it high, this will then create a situation where you're going to have a propensity to have type 2 diabetes. So if you're used to having a large plate of food, cut down the plate of food by getting a smaller plate, or portion the different vegetables, meat, so that it's smaller. Have a smaller portion meal at the end of the day so that you are watching the fat content. It is unbelievably irresistible to have a full plate of good carbs, so a whole plate of whole wheat pasta with lots of vegetables. But if you're having more than the portion size that you should be having, it will have a detrimental effect, because the body can only take in its own weight and it can't digest the large proportion sizes. And so when you're overeating, when the portion sizes are too large, whatever is remaining will store as fat, create sugar, and create the effect of bringing on type 2 diabetes. Can drinking a lot of water lower your blood sugar? Yes, it can. Depending on which research that you look at, we are between 60 to 90 parts water. So if you're a baby, we're 90 parts water. Depending on which research you look at in terms of an adult, between 60 and 80 parts water. And so if you're drinking water, a lot of water, you will literally flush through the body any toxins, any buildup, which will leave you feeling much more refreshed. It will leave you feeling much more enlivened and awake, and it will leave you feeling much more enabled to deal with your stress. Water is almost the lifeblood of what we need, as we are mainly water. And so if you are drinking water on a daily basis, for instance, I drink hot water instead of tea or coffee. That is my drink, hot water. I don't have anything with it, lemon or anything. I just have hot water, which is my tea or coffee. And I drink cold water as well. And water, when you're drinking a lot of it, it will change and flush any impurities out of your body, so that when you are going to the toilet, you will find that your system, when you go to pee, is much more clear. When you are going to the toilet and your pee is a bright yellow or discoloured in a very heavy yellow or even brownish colour, then that is because it's releasing toxins. So if your water is very clear, that means that there are less toxins in the body. So water is your lifeblood, and I highly recommend, instead of drinking things like low carbohydrate or low calorie alcohol, which actually has more sugar in it than normal alcohol, to drink a glass of water, because water will move you into a state of feeling much more detoxed and cleansed. Tom Hanks, he said, "I have high blood sugars and type 2 diabetes. Is not going to kill me, but I just have to eat right and exercise and lose weight and watch what I eat. I will be fine for the rest of my life." Tom Hanks. Let's just dissect that a little bit. He admits, he says, "I have high blood sugars and type 2 diabetes is not going to kill me." So here in awareness, he has recognition that he has high blood sugars. And then he adds, but I just have to eat right. Yes, that's absolutely true. When you eat right, it's okay to have a blowout meal. It's okay to have something that's going to make you feel good, like a cake, or celebrate a birthday. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying don't abstain. Enjoy those treats. It's actually going to cause you a problem when it's your normal, when it's your everyday. And emotional eating will move you into a normal response to stress. So this is a way to manage. And the first place to manage your type 2 diabetes is to be in a state of awareness. Because when you are aware of how your body is affected by what you do, by what you eat, by your lack of exercise or much exercise, you will feel differently. And then it's about choice. And in awareness, you can make choices that are going to be much better for you and everyone else around you, and much better for your mental state of being. Because when your mental state of being isn't in a state of peacefulness, then everything else is affected. And your decision making, the way that you respond to things when you are stressed, will be different from the way that you respond to things when you are not stressed. It is important at the same time as watching what you eat and the sugar level. It's also important to exercise to lose weight if you have a weight issue. Many people that have type 2 diabetes can gain weight very easily, and you can be prone to type 2 diabetes if you carry extra weight. And so it is important, if you have that extra weight, to be mindful of that and taking care of that extra weight to find out where it's coming from. When people carry weight, depending on where they're carrying the weight, it is also related to issues in life that they're not handling, because our body naturally expands, bloats in terms of where the issues are. And many people carry issues in their solar plexus, which is the upper abdomen, and which is above the belly button, and below the belly button in the lower abdomen. And these are the main areas that people will carry weight, and these are the main areas of digestive disorders and obviously type 2 diabetes. Stress and type 2 diabetes, quote from Dr. Jamil Al-Haddo: diet, exercise, and taking care of your mental health. That's the tripod. Those aren't only for diabetes, they'll just make your life better. He's the Chief Division of Endocrinology, Allergy Health Network. So Dr. Jamil Al-Haddo, he suggests and recommends it's not just about diet and exercise, it's also about your mental health. And when you are not okay in your mental health state, whether you're suffering with anxiety, stress, depression, whether you're struggling in that relationship, whether you're struggling with any life event such as a bereavement, a stressful situation at work, a stressful partnership or friendship, or a stressful life change like a home move or a job change or a promotion. These are the natural things and occurrences in everyday life that we start to struggle with stress. And the word stress comes from the place where we're not able to handle what's actually happening. And so we're using stress as a mechanism to get through it. Many people will choose to work harder, to push through the stress. And when you push through the stress by working harder, to ignore it or doing something to divert your attention from actually dealing with the issues that are causing your stress, when we ignore what's really going on and just move into other types of strategies, such as alcohol, smoking, drinking, recreational substances, emotional eating. All of these can have together a detrimental effect on the body, physically, emotionally, and mentally. My invitation for you is to look at why you are reaching out for these types of things, why you're reaching out in terms of these strategies to help you manage your stress. And when you're not handling your stress and reaching out and using these types of strategies, it will have a detrimental effect on your mental health, your emotional health, and your physical health. And this is about dealing with and handling the emotions. If we're not handling the emotions, it will affect our mental health, and then in turn will affect our physical and our own well-being. It is important to realize that this is a tripod. It's not just about diet. It's not just about exercise. And it's not just about taking care of your mental health. There are three aspects to this. And many people will probably do exercise, will probably look at diet, but not handle the mental health side of it, which is usually when we push down the feelings and emotions and we don't handle what's going on in our life. We push through, we work hard, we work tirelessly in terms of hours, and we never allow our body to respond to what's really going on in terms of our emotions. So when we don't feel, and this is the secret, is to feel. As soon as you allow the feeling to come in, you will then move into a state of adjusted well-being. It is important to feel, because if you don't feel, you will suppress the emotions and the feelings which reside in the lower belly, and those emotions will create all sorts of unchallenged problems in your digestive system, and namely bring on type 2 diabetes. Thank you for your attention and for your interest. Please subscribe to USA Global TV and Radio. You can find all of our Talking Heads episodes under the playlist entitled Talking Heads. You can find all my Talking Heads episodes under the playlist Talking Heads Caroline Heward 2022, and for 2023 under my name, Caroline Heward, Talking Heads 2023. Please do reach out to me if I can be of service to you. You can contact me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or reach out and call me if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. It will be my absolute pleasure to help you, because a lot of stress is created by suppressing our emotions and feelings, by not allowing ourselves to feel in our society today is what's causing a lot of our stress. And this is why there is an epidemic of type 2 diabetes. It's criminally insane to be suffering with these kinds of conditions if we only express our feelings and emotions. Or for a free consultation on either Zoom, Skype, or if you're camera shy, in a phone call, please do reach out. It would be my pleasure to help you manage your stress, to literally bust and break through your stress. I use root cause therapy, which will give you an entirely restful and inner state of peace and being.